Well, in fact, let's take you now to Cape Town, where we go to the City Hall, where President Cyril Ramaphosa will be delivering the 2025 State of the Nation address at 7 p.m. tonight. SABC News reporter Natasha Phiri is standing by, monitoring developments there for us. Natasha, of course, good afternoon to you. This is one of those highly anticipated addresses by President Cyril Ramaphosa. A number of issues then he will be addressing this afternoon, of course, unemployment being one of those key issues. It's also one of the priorities of the GNU. Just talk to us about what you are observing there in Cape Town and just some of the people that you've been speaking to.
Definitely, Unati, high on one of the issues that President Cyril Ramaphosa is expected to touch on is the very issue of youth unemployment that currently sits at 49.14%. A lot of young people, even as, you know, we're actually just waiting to cross to you, various university students have been passing here and saying that please raise the issue of student accommodation. Many young students find themselves without student accommodation. Also, Unati, of course, you mentioned the issue of youth unemployment. We're actually joined right now outside the parliamentary precinct by Natasha, who is a network strategist at Youth Capital. And we just take this conversation to him. Nape, thank you so much for joining us on SABC News. Youth unemployment is at 49.14%. As a young person who wants to drive policy to actually change youth unemployment, what proposals, what do you want to hear from the president?
Thank you for having us, Natasha. At Youth Capital, as a campaign that advocates for policy change to solve youth unemployment, we really think that it's ironic that the theme of this year's SONA is building a nation that works for everyone, but currently our young people do not have access to work, and it looks like our nation is really failing young people. And what we're really advocating for and what we are hoping to hear from today's SONA is concrete plans. We don't want the president to give us, dreamy visions again. We want concrete plans that are backed by accountability, and by accountability we really mean plans that are backed by, commitments in terms of budget, commitments in terms of money to ensure that these programs are rolled out properly. If I can mention a program as an example that had been working really well, but because of that lack of commitment in terms of money, it was not implemented the previous year. It is the basic education. And this program has been quite instrumental in terms of giving young people an experience of work and also helping communities and schools in terms of getting general assistance, teacher assistance, and other types of assistance that they need. So we're really expecting from the president concrete plans that are backed up by commitments in terms of budgetary stuff in the medium term and in the long term.
Nape, I mean, you speak about commitments that are made. We've got the YES program, while it has worked for some young people, others are complaining, Bakwa Alexandra, saying that, the YES program hasn't actually worked for them. You find that the plans and the commitments are put in place, but the implementation is a problem.
So we at Youth Capital, we truly believe that programs like YES and other public employment programs have an important role to play in terms of giving young people work experience that, can set them up to find more meaningful work in the future. However, we also advocate for these programs to be properly evaluated so we can learn, we can learn in terms of what is working and what is not working so that we replicate where things are working and also we just fix where things are not working.
Napa, you have a problem where we have children or high school learners. There are 300,000, over 300,000, bachelor passes. Unfortunately, there's no space at universities. How can government actually tackle this issue? Yes, we've been hearing them saying that more universities need to be built as well. Other children also need to attend more TVET colleges. But from your point of view, what do you think needs to happen?
It's quite concerning from our point of view, and speaking personally as someone who was part of that generation of fees must fall, part of that moment, it's quite disappointing to see that some of the issues of access into higher education are still there, and we do know that access into higher education can set young people up for meaningful work in the future. Last week I was at UJ, and we know UJ, they said they received 700 applications and only had 10,000 spaces. So I think what the government could also do is work with the private sector and other actors in terms of determining what are the relevant skills, and also let's look at TVET education and other community-based educations as the only way into higher education is not just universities. We need to make those other pathways and avenues more attractive again. And we also think that issues around NSFAS, hence we're running a very elaborate campaign on NSFAS. We have a survey that we've launched to just quantify young people's experiences around the failures of NSFAS so that we can also make that push, that advocacy push to get the higher education minister and the whole of cabinet basically to put pressure in terms of that institution, in terms of getting the right operational and governance structures in place there.
And talk about the issues of NSFAS. We were talking off air. The issue of the missing middle is also an issue. Just briefly in 30 seconds, please.
So the issue of we do believe that there should be an expansion in terms of how the framework that we currently have, in terms of how people are funded, because a 300 rand cap is not the same. South Africans are not very homogeneous. We are all very different and come from different class backgrounds. So we really need to reevaluate that and see how we can expand, because NSFAS is quite important in terms of giving young people access into higher education.